Hey guys, what's going on? Tyraco here. I hope you're all doing great. So today we have a video, a champion showcase on Jinbo. And first off, I want to say a big thank you to F Diddy for letting me borrow your account. I do appreciate that. I'm gonna leave a link to his Twitch channel down below. He does stream every so often on Twitch. Sometimes when he does his plat pushes, he'll stream over there. But if you guys want to give him a follow, feel free. I'll leave that information down below. Before we get into this though, let me go ahead and make sure we're pronouncing this right.
Jinbo.
Jinbo. All right. So his name is Jinbo in English, and in Danish,
Ginbo.
it's Ginbo. But since I'm English, I'm going to pronounce it Jinbo. All right. So Jinbo the Dishonored. Sometimes Raid has some champions, where the pronunciation's a little bit tricky. So I'm going to go off Google Translate. I'm going to hope that's right. But talking about this champion today, I'm going to be doing some comparison with Skullcrown with him. Just because I think Skullcrown, and you guys can let me know what you think, but they're both Void Epic champions. They're both very centered around raw damage. They don't, well, I'll take that back, honestly, because Jinbo does bring some extra benefits, especially for the arena. And Skullcrown doesn't really have like any extra stuff. Yeah, she can place Weaken. She can, she has the Unkillable in herself. All those are nice extra benefits. But as far as like land and debuffs, they don't do anything like that. Their gearing and their building is honestly going to be very, very, very similar to one another. But looking at Jinbo, we will go ahead and look at his skills, look at his masteries, look at his build, and then I'm going to compare him to Skullcrown when it comes to their multipliers and everything, and then we'll jump into some testing. Well, before we do that, don't forget to drop a like on this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and yeah, let's get right into it, guys. So skills, his A1 ability, Dagon, that's a library. Holy crap, I haven't even noticed this. So this is not my account, like I mentioned before. I did not know he took 8 plus 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so 15 is not that bad. Just a big stack of books on that A1 ability, but I think it's probably worth it. So attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a chance to steal. Each hit steals any increased attack buff. Each hit also has a 30% chance of stealing one random buff. The increased attack buff steal cannot be resisted. Now, you'll notice this is a theme in his kit. The thing can't be resisted. Okay, what that means is that you do not need to build accuracy on the champion to have that ability work. Now, if you want this, each hit also has a 30% chance of stealing one random buff to work, then you will need accuracy. But I do not by any means think that you need to build him with accuracy for this specific ability to land, because the increased attack buff steal will land no matter what. All right, so don't worry about that. I don't think building with accuracy is a good idea, and you'll notice Diddy doesn't have him built with accuracy either. His A2 ability is attacks all enemies, has an 80% chance of decreasing the duration of all buffs by 1 turn. This effect cannot be resisted on critical hits. Now, this champion is a champion you build to do damage. When you're building your champions to do damage, you build them with a 100% crit rate, not 99% crit rate, unless they have an ability 3, that places a 30% increased crit rate buff and a 30% increased crit damage buff on this champion for 3 turns, then grants an extra turn. So with this champion, you're basically keeping this up all the time, okay? When you have it fully booked out, this becomes a 4-turn cooldown, which means he's going to place this up the first time, get the increased crit rate and increased crit damage, and then he's going to take his turn, he's going to come back, and then he's going to have 100% crit rate if you've built him with at least 70% crit rate, which you'll notice that Diddy has done. So with this, definitely no reason to build him with 100% crit rate. You have this buff built in. It lasts 3 turns, has a cooldown of 4, so you're basically going to have this up all the time. And then if you go the mastery, which is the lasting gifts, you have a chance to extend that, which is even better. It'll be up all the time. So this is definitely worth it. And this guy is really, especially in the arena, going to be one-shotting a lot of people. So you're not going to need that up for all 3 turns. You're not going to be lasting that long. And his ability 2, I didn't talk about the cooldown here. It's a 3-turn cooldown, and then obviously his A1, there is no cooldown because it's an ability 1. Now his passive ability, immune to decreased attack debuffs, will ignore unkillable buffs when attacking under an increased attack. So a few things you want to make sure from his kit. Just from his skills, reading them right now, you don't really need accuracy. You want to make sure he has a champion who can give him increased attack, and you're good to go. Now, you can steal increased attack from the enemies, but we don't really want to rely on the enemies having a buff before our champion can work. So bring in an Arbiter, bring in a Seeker, bring in a Spirit Host. I believe she can do it. Any champion who does increased attack works perfectly with this guy. You want to make sure they go before him. When it comes to building him, also he has a increased ally speed in arena by 20%, which happens to be the exact same or a little bit less than my girl Skullcrown, who I mentioned he's actually pretty comparable to. And as you can see, outside of the this effect, actually it's really good. Not even gonna take anything away from it. Immune to decreased attack, very, very good champion. But we need to take him for a spin. Champions can look great on paper, but could perform differently in battle. Now, when it comes to his actual gear, the stats you're gonna want to focus on and you're gonna want to really boost up is what is exactly built in here, which is the attack, the speed, crit rate, and crit damage. So with this guy, you want him to have, well, obviously a lot of attack because he's a damage dealer, and the damage dealer that is based on attack, you'll see damage based on attack right there. So push his attack up as high as you can get it reasonably with keeping his speed pretty fast. His speed is going to be determined based on your account. So if you run an Arbiter plus a Lysandra, for example, in the arena, maybe you don't need to go 200 speed. You may only have to go 170, maybe even 160 speed, depending on how yours is built, because you can really slow down the enemy, and then you can get him to be built with even more attack, even more crit damage. But this build is very good. So this build is speed tuned to Diddy's team already. Speed, perfect. The crit rate, like I mentioned before, you don't need 100%. 70% is what you need. We don't really want 69% either, because that 1% is going to happen more often than not where you miss the crit, and we don't want that to happen, okay? So definitely want to make sure he's landing his crits as much as possible. Now for his crit damage, you want to push this up as high as you can get it while keeping it within the range of the attack, all right? So you don't want 300% crit damage if you only have 4,000 attack, all right? So the ratio we have here is pretty good. I think we could actually probably use more attack, but this is how I would build him. This is actually exactly how I would build my Jinbo as well. So that's his build right here. And Diddy did go with the Savage and the Cruel set. So he has even more defense ignore. He's going to be ignoring all kinds of defense on top of the decreased defense that your debuffer is going to place. Very, very good build here. I like it a lot. So the banner, defense, just to get that extra speed. We could go attack, but he's already hitting super hard. Crit damage necklace, attack ring. Also, you guys got to keep in mind that the Shadowkin hasn't been out for that long. So depending on how much you farm Spider, you may not have amazing Shadowkin accessories. I know on my account, I would not have this good of Shadowkin accessories at the bottom for sure. I haven't farmed Spider enough at all, as you can see by my silver. We have a lot of attack percent stuff here as expected. Crit damage gloves, of course. Crit damage, big crit damage on that weapon. Daggone, dude, that's awesome. Big crit damage on the helmet. Good crit rate on that. Where is he getting all the crit? Okay, this is another benefit, guys. If you only need 70% crit rate, you don't have to have massive amounts of crit rate on your other pieces of gear. Because, I mean, what? You're missing 30%, right? So that's 30% you don't have to get from the gear, which is a huge, huge difference. Like, you wouldn't be able to run a triple roll weapon plus a triple roll helmet with needing to get 100% crit rate unless you had like quad roll crit rates on other pieces of gear. So overall, very solid build. I like it a lot. Now the masteries, let's look at these. So the masteries are not finished, but I believe Diddy's trying to go down here to get lasting gifts, I would assume, for the chance to extend a buff duration to get that crit rate buff extension happening and the crit damage buff extension happening. And I would imagine this ability as well. So basically, it's just a very typical offense nuke champion build. I'm gonna turn myself to the side. It's a Helm Smasher. So if you're playing, you don't have, say, more than 200% crit damage, which you really should. I mean, I don't think that's super difficult to hit, especially since you only need 70% crit rate on this champion. But if you don't have at least 200% crit damage, go ahead and go for Flawless Execution, because this is going to give you less benefit than Flawless Execution. But try to build him to get over 200% crit damage. Go Helm Smasher, ignore some more defense. Very, very good build. But you'll see this very, very common build across a lot of nuke champions in the game. And then support, honestly, you can go support. You can probably even go defense. Offense is the most important thing over here. Going over here makes a lot of sense, though, especially in those longer fights, having the lasting gifts. So overall, this is Diddy's mastery build for Jinbo, and I think this is basically exactly what I would run. I think it's a very solid setup, and if you're looking for something to go off of, this is a great one. However, never take masteries, copy and paste. You kind of want to make sure you understand why, what is where, and build them out to fit your teams the best they possibly can, because who knows? The defense mastery could be the tree you want to go instead of the support tree, all right? I see nothing wrong with that. The offense definitely is set in stone. We're not running no support Jinbo. So definitely offense set in stone, and then defense or support, pick and choose, whichever one you like. All right, now as I mentioned, let's go ahead and pull up him compared to Skullcrown. So Jinbo compared to Skullcrown. Skullcrown has about 100 more base attack. Not a huge deal, but that is a pretty solid amount. So Skullcrown, you can build more attack on different factions. So depending on your accessories, one could be significantly more or less than the other, a little bit less speed. Now, when it comes to their multipliers, what are we looking like here? So Skullcrown's A2. Everybody watching this video, I'm sure, has been hit by a Skullcrown in the arena, okay? Her A2 hits like a truck, all right? 4.3 times attack. Jinbo is a 4 times attack. You can see right here, very, very good A2 ability, especially when you're considering that he's getting an increased crit rate plus an increased crit damage buff from his ability 3 before he ever even uses his ability 2, and he's ignoring unkillable buffs when he's attacking under increased attack. So you don't have to worry about Skullcrowns. You don't have to worry about Swift Parry. You don't have to worry about anything that's going to stop you from just killing the enemy, okay? So if they have unkillable, Sir Nick, say there was a Sir Nick on the enemy team who placed up unkillable, you don't have to worry about it. It's no problem. You'll go right through that unkillable. Not an issue at all. Now, is A1 or A1's comparable? I mean, the first hit's comparable, but if Skullcrown's attacking an enemy who has more than 50% HP, she is going to do quite a bit, almost double the damage as Jinbo, but he also can steal the increased attack buffs, okay? So each hit can steal the increased attack buffs off of Trunda, off of Candrafon, off of any champion who you don't want to hit you hard in the arena. However, when you're bringing him, you're not looking for the long fight. You're looking to get in, get it done, and get out. I think that's exactly what he can do. Let's go ahead and jump in here and test this out against a Skullcrown team. So we're going to use some gems, get a refresh going right there, and we got a fast increased attack, some speed manipulation from Lysandra, which I mentioned before. If you have a Lysandra, you can run Jinbo a lot slower. So I've mentioned before Deadwood Jedi's speed calculator, which if you guys know how to use that, go there, plug in the speeds for these champions, and see how fast your Jinbo would have to run. But Diddy obviously uses him in a lot of other teams anyway, so he's going to be built fast. But I bet you he could get away with like 160, 170 speed if Lysandra did her decrease attack on everybody. So here, we're going to go ahead and use his A3 ability, give him that increased crit rate, increased crit damage, increased attack, and increased speed from Lysandra. So turn this to 1 time speed. Let's go ahead and use his A2 ability. Watch for it. Skullcrown's unkillable. It's not even there. Oh, she got res from the Senesha, but that's not a big deal, all right? So her unkillable didn't even exist. He just blew right through it, all right? Now, this is huge. If you're somebody who's coming through the arena and you're facing Skullcrowns and they're annoying you, because Skullcrowns, what they do a lot of times is they'll be built sometimes in Avenging gear. I have mine built in Avenging gear. And when I use her for defense, she's there. But even if not, she'll still have the counterattack mastery, I'm sure. And I can almost guarantee it. Everybody watching this video has been killed at least once by a Skullcrown where you've wiped her entire team, but somehow she just comes back with a vengeance and just destroys your entire team because of that unkillable buff that didn't fall off because you had no way to remove it. So she finally gets her hit, wipes you all out. Well, Jinbo comes in here and says, I ain't got to worry about that no more, okay? 117,000 damage to the Skullcrown, okay? Yeah, you're not building your Skullcrown with that much HP, so he's going to walk right through her every single time. Same thing right here. We're going to go right through these champs. Now, this team can do full auto, I think, actually, up until Madam goes. Now, I want to test this against Skullcrown teams because you can't really test this as well against just trying to find Swift Parry, because you never know when Swift Parry is going to proc, right? But that's a great example. However, what I'll do is I'll show you guys what I would do if I was wanting to build him into a team. What the heck? You're getting all kinds of one-person defenses. Wow. Let's just pretend, okay? Because we're not really going to be able to see Swift Parry proxy anyways. We'll pretend that we just want to do this, okay? So we're going to do the increased speed, decreased speed and manipulation, and then Trunda's going to nuke, and then he's going to nuke as well. And then we're going to hopefully get a decent idea. That Arbiter may be faster, I'm not for sure. Nah, Diddy has a fast Arbiter, so I think we're faster. Now, in most situations, you would definitely bring Madam, right? Just makes sense, okay? Anybody here have super high HP? Let's see, maybe, all right, so using Trunda. I don't really ever use Trunda. Well, I don't have Trunda. I'm not lucky enough to, but let's go ahead and use her A2 on Necrit. All right, let's pretend, well, we got no Swift Parry procs, all right? Well, let's pretend that they had Swift Parry proc. Boom, everybody's dead now, all right? If this imaginary world had proc Swift Parry on everybody, Trunda would have killed everybody. So everybody would be at 1 HP right now. All right. Well, after that happens, just bring in Jinbo to ignore all of that Swift Parry. So you don't have to bring a stripper like Madam. You don't have to bring any of that kind of stuff. He can literally do it himself. And if you have two very, very hard-hitting champions like Trunda and Jinbo, that's incredible. All right. So Trunda's already known to be able to just kind of destroy people without having to bring too much extra stuff. I mean, look at all these shields, okay? So Trunda's going to probably eat right through that. She didn't, but look, he's going to now. If they proc Swift Parry, doesn't matter. He would have gone right through that anyways, no problem. So guys, if you're going through, I think Jinbo has a ton of potential in Platinum Arena. Like if I pulled him, I would definitely be using him in my plat pushes because one, I don't have any crazy good nuker, but besides that, I could use him in there with my Ray, which she's actually a pretty good nuke champion. But I could use him in there with her. I could have Ray strip the enemy. I could have Ray use her A2 ability, whatever it may be, and then I could have Jinbo go right after her and just kill everybody right through their Swift Parry. So that's what he does in the arena. Let's go ahead and jump into the Doom Tower and kind of give you a showcase as to what Jinbo can do on the waves. So comparing him, well, we're not going to compare him to Trunda. Trunda hits harder. Plain. That's all it is. That's all there is to that, okay? So Trunda does hit harder than Jinbo. Of course, that's not the comparison we're making. All I want to show you here, put Trunda in the leader, the increased attack aura, and I just want to show you guys how hard Jinbo can actually hit on these waves. Like I said, he brings benefits to dungeons, but he would bring the same benefit as like a Skull Crown, any just straight raw damage dealing champion. That's what kind of damage that's what kind of assistance he's going to bring to those areas of the game. So go ahead and back out of here. Let's see how much he hit for. So he hit for 297,000 damage. It's a good hit, okay? It's a very, very solid hit. So he can definitely be used in the Doom Tower, in dungeons, and still keep it going pretty fast. So guys, so this is actually a screenshot that somebody sent me of them using Jinbo in their Fire Knight team. Granted, they have Lysandra, Venus, Prince Kymar, and a Coldheart, so it may not be super buildable, and you may be able to swap a lot of other champions in here, but this goes to show, hey, he did do 1 million damage, so he was contributing, so you can definitely use him. I mean, it was Fire Knight 20 in 59 seconds. I don't know the exact build, but he's definitely usable in dungeons, and then Faction Wars, of course, right? So Shadowkin Faction, yeah, if you have him, definitely build him for that. Now, we'll go look at campaign farming because for some reason, this is what everybody likes to see. I'm not really sure why, but I'll go ahead and tell you right now, Jinbo is not going to be your campaign farmer. If you're using Jinbo as your campaign farmer, I think you're probably doing something wrong, but just to see out of curiosity's sake, how fast can he do the campaign? Now, it's going to be a little bit slower because he is, wait, dang, he's just zooming right through. See? Oh yeah, because he's fast. He's got quite a bit more speed than everybody. So he did it in 12 seconds. Actually, I may have just been proven wrong. I may be eating my words. So he's built pretty fast right now, 193 speed. What's happening here is I bet he has Whirlwind of Death, I would assume. So either way, he's going twice as fast as the food he's farming with. So he's able to cycle back through his AoE ability and keep that up pretty consistently. So 11-second farming, that's actually really, really good. That's about, that's a little ways away from like the faster farmers, like the fastest farmers, but 11 seconds, very, very fast farming for a champion who I honestly didn't expect to do it that fast at all. But let's see what his masteries were again. The Whirlwind of Death, I bet that's what it is, with the increased speed whenever you kill somebody. Yeah, so we got Whirlwind of Death. Okay, perfect. So he's getting more and more speed whenever he kills people. It's allowing him to be consistent with going twice before the enemy goes each time. So, but all right, guys, that is Jinbo. So if you pulled him, congratulations. You have yourself a pretty daggone awesome Void Epic champion who can definitely help you out in the arena. And I'm really hoping I pull him soon. I was honestly hoping I would have got him with the last 2x Void event, but I did not get lucky enough to get him. So if you got him, you're considering building him, you need an arena nuker, you need some extra damage for dungeons, you need a good champion for Shadowkin Faction Wars. Really, you just need a good damage dealer. I would definitely recommend building him. It's not going to be a waste whatsoever. He has a lot of good uses, okay? Definitely one of the higher tier champions, at least in my opinion. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave a like if you liked it, and feel free to watch one of the next videos about to pop up, and I'll catch you in the next one.